Good morning friends and welcome to the pre-market view. Today the focus would be on Mario Draghi and what kind of statement is he going to make today at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time. What we feel is that given the fact that he had given a very dramatic statement that he would do all possible to stabilize the Eurozone, and in that context we had seen the European markets actually going up. And even for the past few sessions, we are seeing a lot of media hype around what kind of bond buying program can he come up with, given the fact that he has to deal with many different authorities. He has to deal with almost 17 different countries who would have their own interests and agenda in mind. So we believe that one has to go into this market session with a bit of a caution, given the constraints that he has. But broadly, what general expectations are is that there is going to be some kind of a rate cut of about 50 basis points. Also, his commentary on what kind of plans he has to cap the yield in the Eurozone, particularly for some of the countries like Spain, Portugal and Italy, is something that the market will be keenly watching out for. Talking about the markets, European markets were mixed, no major real movement ahead of this important meet. And US market started off on a weak note, but towards the end we saw some bit of a recovery and they ended actually flat. Today when we look at the Asian markets, they are very quiet, and given the fact that yesterday most of the Asian markets were down sharply and we had seen some stability in the US markets, today they have opened on a stable note, no major runaway upside or downside. Talking about the flows, friends, FIs were net sellers in the cash market to the tune of 189 crore. And post August expiry, we are seeing that gradually FIs have turned seller, which is not a very comforting sign. Also friends, talking about our markets, we are seeing that they are sliding, though not in a major way. And now the selling has happened in the key stocks, in let's say Tisco, Hindalco, to some extent some of the banking stocks which have been holding out pretty well, like Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, L&T. These are some of the stocks which have been very stable for the past few months, but we are seeing that a good amount of selling has happened and they have started losing ground. So in that backdrop, let us ask our F&O expert Shaival as to what his outlook is and what kind of strategies one could have in the current market scenario. Hi Shaival, good morning.
Good morning.
Our markets have been pretty dull for almost about a week or so, and we are not seeing any major spike in the volatility, but at the same time we are losing ground at the index level, and this time around some of the important index heavyweights have started showing a lot of weakness. So looking at the F&O data points, what is the outlook on the index and certain stocks?
We have seen that the banking stocks have been taking a hit from past couple of trading sessions because lots of uncertainty has been there with regards to the policy as well, which is lying ahead. And now we have been seeing that the implied volatility has been remaining almost flat, or we have been seeing an increase of around say 2 to 3%. But what we have seen is that 5,200 put option and call option has seen a good activity in open interest. So that level on closing basis remains a very important to watch on. Whereas on the higher side, the activity still remains the same, or say unchanged at 5,300 call option, 5,400 and 5,500 call option. What we feel is that we may see some bounce coming in the market because implied volatility has increased a bit. There would be some intraday whipshaws. But if the Nifty manages to close below 5,200 levels, then probably on downside 5,050 and 5,000 is the level which we'll be watching on.
Right, and any specific idea or strategy for today's market?
See, from intraday perspective, we have identified two stocks. As we've been seeing that the SGX Nifty is almost flat, so what we have been suggesting to do is we recommend to buy IVRCL infrastructure with support of 39 rupees 10 paisa, and Kane India is looking weak, so one can go short on Kane India with resistance of 339 rupees 85 paisa. Apart from that, yesterday we have suggested an ratio put spread strategy in ICICI Bank. So we have formed it by buying 880 strike put option at 15 rupees 10 paisa. What we have done is we have sold one lot of 860 rupees strike price at 9 rupees 50 paisa, and then simultaneously we have sold 820 strike price at 5 rupees 10 paisa. So the outflow for the strategy stands at 0.50, which is almost nil.
Yeah.
So if someone gets an opportunity in the said strategy around say 50 paisa, so one can surely initiate, one can surely go on with the strategy. In this strategy, I'd like to say that the higher break even point would be at 879 rupees 50 paisa, whereas on the lower side the break even would be at 800 rupees 50 paisa, almost 800 bucks. So if ICICI Bank reaches 800, then it's advisable to close down the strategy, because then it would get converted into long futures and then we would have a payoff of the long futures. So it's advisable
it's important to exit once ICICI Bank reaches 800 level.
Yeah, it's important to exit. And if ICICI Bank does not work according to expectation, and if it goes on the higher side, then probably there's the loss of 125 rupees, which is almost negligible. But if a view materializes and if ICICI expires between 860, 820, then we can capitalize 4,875 rupees in the strategy.
So overall risk reward is very good for the view.
Yeah.
Right, Sharekhan, thanks a lot for that update.
Thank you.
Friends, talking about the companies in the news today, first of all about Coal India. There are reports that the companies where interministerial group deallocates or cancels the coal blocks could be allocated to Coal India. These are just the reports, so there is no confirmation of this, but in the event of such happening, it would be a huge positive for Coal India. So one can go long with a stop loss of 352 and a target of about 370 to 376. In case of escorts, friends, as we've seen a pickup in the monsoon in the later part of the season, we feel that escorts could be a big beneficiary, as the management expects a pickup in the volume by about 8 to 10%. Also recently they have done a price hike also. So we believe that one can go long on escorts with a stop loss of 60.5 and a target of about 64 to 65. Friends, Exide Industry has won an important trademark case against Exide Technologies US, and on the back of that we think one can go long on Exide with a stop loss of 140 and a target of 147 to 150. Friends, now divestment has come back into action, and the government is trying to do something to put it forward, though in a gradual manner. So first of all, you would see MMTC and Neyveli Lignite being talked about in the next about 1 week in the cabinet meet, and later on a whole host of companies, whether it's SAIL India, Oil India, NMDC, Hindustan Copper, BHEL and NALCO. These are the companies on the block where we could see some development on the divestment. So this entire pack could remain in action, because remember that these companies have a very low floating stock. Some of these have corrected quite a bit. So depending upon what kind of pricing are we looking at for divestment, you would see good amount of action in this stock. So that's it from all of us, friends. Have a great trading session.